Let's get into this right now with a man who I think is hunting right now. James Ashby, of course, Chief of Staff to Pauline Hanson and One Nation. Got the camo on, but you might need to turn some of the lights off if you're trying to actually...
Camping.
Yeah, get something going. He's camping, but he's breaking it for us. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Linda Scott, of course, represents local government nationally. She's part of National Cabinet, but, of course, the City of Sydney Councillor. Linda, I'll start with you. As part of the pre-sooking about what looks like the polls currently for The Voice, but again, we'll all wait and see. There's a bloke writing a piece in the Adelaide newspaper that I'm sure is loving that we're talking about it here on Sky News Primetime, that people of a certain age should not be allowed to vote in referenda because, frankly, they're too old and they're holding on. It should only be young people who vote. Do you think we should be telling people of a certain age, sorry, thanks for your contribution, but no, you don't get to write the rules anymore for the country?
Well, look, first and foremost, I definitely haven't given up on the vote. I ran into two people in the last couple of days, both of whom, when I was wearing my Yes T-shirt, said, and what's that shirt all about? And I explained to them there was a referendum. They had no idea. So there's still lots of soft voters who don't even know and are open to being convinced. But I don't think we should in any way stop older Australians from voting, but I definitely think we should have a look at the current 18 voting age and see if we want to drop that down a little bit, because I think it would have a really interesting impact on our elections. And we know the Voice referendum, actually, a lot of commentators are saying, is going to be the last impact that boomers will have on this election as they kind of age and the younger generation comes in. We are starting to see this enormous body of Australians under 34 who are really changing the way that Australia votes, and that group is continuing to grow.
That sound you can hear even in the bush in Queensland is people throwing things at a television.
Well,
right
James
now.
Ashby, I'm sure, will be enraged.
James, help me out here. People of a certain age, no. People under a certain age, yes.
Well, one day Fiona will grow up and she'll become conservative like the rest of us.
Except that my name's Linda, not Fiona, but I do have a lot of respect for Fiona
sorry,
Scott.
Linda, yes.
He's camping, mate. He's got holiday brain.
But the reality is this is just an insult. This is a horrible, horrible piece. It was designed to enrage people. And sure, there's older people out there that will just laugh this off, of course. But I note at the start of the show too, Paul, you raised a really simple fact that, you know, these 16-year-olds have to live with decisions of 80-year-olds who are having to vote. Well, how many 80-year-olds are paying for the decision of underage pregnancy, for the risk-taking of 16-year-olds with drugs? I'm sorry, what a disgusting article.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, it was trolling. They get the result that they want. Interestingly, online poll on the website, 88% of people said, no, thank you very much. We might actually move on from all of that. Interestingly also, there are smarter people that are trying to get a different result than what the polls will tell us, including people trying to change the view of regional Australia. I'll give you the tip. It's made up right now. I'm not entirely sure there's much of it left to be changed. But again, in the Turnbull Times, when they weren't going on saying that people, as part of the No campaign, are echoing the words of the settler, the colonialist, the invader, depending on your perspective. Regional Australia believes in a fair go. So what does that mean for The Voice? As a bloke in regional Australia right now, but obviously lives around, Rocky, Yeppoon, spends plenty of time with Pauline at the back of Birdsville. Do you think that a no vote fundamentally clashes with the concept of the fair go, James?
No, not at all. This is not anything about a fair go. This is about a divisive piece of, legislation which is about to go to a referenda. And Australians don't want to be pitted against one another, black versus that of every other race in the country. I'm sorry, it just doesn't cut the mustard with the average person, and as it's been rightly identified, even the young voters are 50-50. The older you get, the more divisive you actually see this. And this isn't about being racist. This is about a clear-cut decision that Australians need to make. Do you really want to divide the country any further than what it already is? As it is after this referendum, there's going to be some enormous healing required because we've had a Prime Minister that's been determined to divide us as a country. So, look, I'm really puzzled as to how this is going to end, but 2 more weeks of it, and then it's done and the healing begins.
Yeah, I mean, now, again, you travel in regional Australia and you can find a mayor that's hard no and find a mayor that's hard yes, right? And rather than getting you to talk about that, I want to talk about the early voting, which starts off tomorrow. Australians have now shown that they love to turn up early because I've got other stuff on or can't be bothered waiting till the Saturday. Do you think that we're going to see basically a retread of federal election early voting, or on something like this, people for some reason will want to vote on the Saturday more than, look, I live in a safe seat, it doesn't matter, just get it out of the way, I hate both the politicians? Because the most passionate yes and no supporter, I'm not sure that they really want anything other than the full experience, which is the Saturday. What do you think, Linda?
No, because referendums are so different, aren't they, to normal elections. I do want to give a plug, though, for Alexandria Park Public School in the inner city, because they're having a barbecue on the day of the referendum. You should go down there and support the PNC. But I think it is the case that lots of people, like any other election, do get pretty hyped up about the day. It's obviously a great day for many of the places that are schools, and they're holding sausage sizzles and other things. But increasingly, of course, people always work on Saturdays, and so they do need to vote early. I still think there are a huge number of Australians that don't know there is a vote happening, and they don't know that they have to vote. And I think there will not perhaps be early voting for that reason. And so, you know, we all of us, and James and I fundamentally disagree. I'm a very strong, personally, yes supporter, but I'm sure the campaigns will really ramp up the awareness of the fact that people need to vote. And it'll be a big turnout game in these last 2 weeks, because I think there will be a higher proportion than normal of people who don't vote. And so in some respects, this campaign now will be won on who's able to turn out their side the most effectively.
Well, and James, you know this, right? Minor party is that there's only so many hands and feet you can get in and around the ground. Now, very obviously, despite the fact that the polls are pushing in a certain direction, we know where the money is, we know where the volunteers are, we know where the machine is of everything from the union movement to the Teal movement to the Labor Party, the Greens, all the rest of it. So the capacity to go and try to, for want of a better term, get out the vote. But again, what do you think here? For the people watching us right now, they're going to be the hard yes, the hard no. Are they just going to go tomorrow to get it done? I don't want to talk about this again for another 2 weeks, or they want it on the Saturday?
Well, Linda's right. The Denny Ute Festival was on over the weekend in Deniliquin, and I can tell you now, if you asked half a dozen people at the Ute muster over the weekend, they wouldn't have had any idea this was even happening. So the issue is, it doesn't matter how much money the Yes campaign have got, how much they're going to throw at this on social media and in the media. We saw a billionaire in this country throw $80 and $100 million at election campaigns and come up with very little result, one senator in Victoria. So, look, this isn't about money. This is about home conversations amongst families where mums and dads have chats over the fence with their neighbours or their own kids. That's where the decision-making is going to be happening, is over the phone with family and friends or around the dining table or at the barbecue. But it's not going to be... People in this country won't be pressured by TV commercials. I can assure you right now, John Farnham has fallen flat on his face with his decision to lend The Voice his song, You're the Voice. And look, if you can't win people over with things like that, this is why it's going down. People recognise it's divisive and it's not going to solve anything for Indigenous people in this country.